it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, the holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome back to Rogue Soul, where is the winning report. We will look at all of the news worldwide and domestically, and we will remember to see through the propaganda, to see through the biases, to see through the mind control, and ideally to then also construct some image of reality that is at least much closer to what's actually going on than what we are generally shown and told. We'll also remember how we're always winning because we are always connected to our soul, children of the Most High. Here we are in these weird fleshy bodies doing all of this stuff, knowing that the soul is the most important part of all of this. And therefore, how could we ever lose? So of course we're winning. It's the winning report, and we'll remember it every time that we are here. And there is a lot going on, so we will just jump right into that. I will first, of course, remind you, it is always important to go to roguesoul.org. That's where everything I do is. All of my books are there. The Orgone is there. The one-on-one sessions you can book with me, tarot, past life, sound healing, connecting with your spiritual guides and allies, channeling those through healing and more. All of it's there on the site. And also on my Substack, rogueways.substack.com. Linked to from the site, but that is where you can keep in touch. That's where you can get the updates. You can get the invitations to all of the events. You can read the channeled messages as they come through the spiritual ancestors, and you can read all of the other articles, philosophy, religion, history, economics, like everything. There's nothing I don't write about. That's always been how I've been. So that's all there. I would love for you to be there too. You can do this for free, rogueways.substack.com. Please go subscribe today. I'll see you there. Otherwise, we'll get into it. And we're just going through the Telegram today. This is where I keep all of my saved messages are always my articles that I hope to share on Winning Report. And so sometimes we end up not getting to all of them. Or rather, I realize there's some that I no longer care about. So this is the raw, unedited. Like a lot of times, as you know, if you've been here long enough, like I will organize these all and try to sort of be in some sort of order. Yeah. And then sometimes I'm just sharing with you what I find. So in this case, then we always go from most recent to oldest. So this is my most recent in my saved messages is Amazon and Google deploying covert winking mechanism to notify Israel via coded money transfers when foreign authorities request Israeli data, even if the country issued a gag order preventing them from revealing that they provided such information. This is Amazon and Google giving this very strange benefit just to Israel. I'm sure they're not doing it for anyone else. So here's yet another example of sort of Israeli bias, Israeli supremacy, you might say, Israeli privilege, you might say, and super weird. Super weird. I mean, it's like not weird if you've been paying attention for very long, but if you were just the normal person and you heard this, like, what would you be thinking? Right? I don't know though. People are so weird. They might be like, who cares? I'm like, but they're seriously doing this thing. They're not supposed to be doing it. They're doing it in this very coded, surreptitious way. Money transfers that are coded. I'm sure crazier things happen if we're talking about like MI6 and CIA and like, spy warfare and all of this. But like that Google and Amazon would do it. Very interesting. So that's going on. I don't know what the fallout from that's going to be. Some people are going to love Amazon and Google even more, and some people are gonna hate them more for this. So interesting times we live in. And Ford is going to invest approximately $370 million into India to make new engines. They're reopening a factory that was shut down 4 years ago. So I guess that's good for the Indians. It's not necessarily great for the US. It'd be really cool if we could invest in ourselves and bring more and more jobs, especially these type of jobs that are generally paying a lot more than what people can find otherwise. right? Without like a lot of college or specific degrees or certifications. Like, why are we always sending those out? Boeing is my big corporation that I'm most familiar with because I grew up in the Pacific Northwest and everybody works at Boeing and they're doing the same thing. They're shipping all these exact same types of manufacturing jobs over to India. And so all of these people in the US don't have jobs anymore, don't have high paying jobs that are secure, high paying jobs, right? I guess they're not secure. But so now Ford is doing the same. So again, we can always respond with our checkbooks and just say like, well, I don't buy Ford then, but I don't know if there's any car companies anymore that are just producing in the US, and I mean, we're probably you and I priced out of Boeing. We're not buying planes anytime soon. I'm guessing. Yeah, I'll take it, God, if you want to give me a plane, it's cool. But we're buying cars, and so who else is left? GMC, I don't think they exist. Do they exist? I don't know, but so pretty sad day, but good for India. Good for Ford. So Buckingham Palace has now officially announced that Prince Andrew was evicted from the royal residence and had his title removed. He's no longer a prince, he's just Andrew. And I'm sure he'll still tell you he doesn't sweat, but we all know that he does. And so that pedophile is now gone from office. All the other pedophiles still there, still with their titles. But with some progress, we'll take it. We'll take the win. Down with Prince Andrew. I was like, wait, didn't this already happen? But I think I'm just remembering them announcing that they were going to strip his title. And now they've actually done it. So may the rest of the pedophiles suffer the same fate or worse. We've also got this new airship, this lighter than air research. This is the Zeppelin, I guess. I mean, I don't actually know if that's like a specific type of airship or not, so forgive me. I'm sure there's people out there that are like, oh my God, you don't know what a Zeppelin is. What's wrong with you? But the blimps, the floating blimps, we're bringing them back. We're going back towards steampunk, guys. I, for one, love it. I have said my whole life, why don't we do this? Like one accident happens and now we're never going to touch this technology again. Like, shut up. The most efficient sort of technologies have all seemed to suffer the same fate. Nuclear, we have just a few little accidents and now everyone's shied away from nuclear. We've got the blimps and the airships. And so I love this. Lighter than air research is bringing it back. They've done test flights in San Francisco. So some people have probably seen it. You've probably seen maybe a few videos floating around. They're out in the open, floating around, and they can fit a lot more people than a plane. Yeah, and maybe they're not quite as fast or as long distance. I don't really know the limitations, but I would way rather have more room, even if it took a little longer, and float through the air on a blimp. That would be my preference. So we'll see what comes of that. I have high hopes for the future. We're imagining the best future possible, remember. No reason to imagine the worst one. That's been imagined for us multiple times, endlessly, our whole lives. So we're going the other direction with it. Samsung is going to officially display ads on their smart fridges with their new software update this week. I find this repulsive. I would very much, if I bought a house and a Samsung fridge was just in it and this was what's happening, I would take that fridge out and I would get any fridge as old as possible and I would put it in its place, even if it was ugly and horrible, because I'm so opposed to this. It's so ridiculous that we have to have advertisements even in our personal, private home spaces. They're already everywhere else you could possibly imagine. I now am watching, like, if you ever watch a reel or on Instagram or anything, there's like tiny ads at the bottom now. And I'm like, get out of my face. Like, I hate you more now. I am less likely to buy your product if I see an ad for it than the other way around. If I had never seen an ad and then came across you, I would just perhaps buy your product. But if I see an ad intrude into my space and it's yours, I guarantee you I will never buy your product because I hate you that much. I hate advertisements so much. I'm sorry to the people who have advertisements on this podcast. I understand your chagrin. So pretty gross. That's Samsung. That's this week. I remember them saying, like, in cars, they were going to have advertisements unless you paid a fee to keep them out. And so I've also vowed, like, I will never have that car, whatever those cars are. I'll ride a donkey before I ride your stupid advertisement car. Like, I don't need whatever other things are coming with this car, I just need transportation. So I will buy any car that isn't the car with that going on. And if that's what's happening with this fridge, like you have to now pay a monthly fee to not be advertised with, double horrible. I will work to never buy Samsung in any capacity, which is hard. They make a lot of really good products. But oh well, you lost me. Like, and hopefully everyone else do. Let's rebel against this and kill it before it grows. Don't allow advertisements in your fridge or anywhere else. It's like half the reason for supposed smart technology is so they can advertise to you even more and gather all your data. Nothing else to it. That's all they're after. Xi Jinping has shocked the world by publicly thanking Donald Trump for promoting world peace and praised his leadership in resolving global issues. Trump just recently met with Xi Jinping. They had a sit down, they talked, they figured some things out. Of course, this is receiving criticism all around of like, oh, he's not being hard enough on China and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. I'm not sure, what's going on at every level. Neither are you. So I can hope that that's actually like a real accomplishment and that Xi Jinping means it when he said, thank you for promoting world peace. And that we have again increased the peace through some of these things that we've seen Donald Trump doing. So I'll take that win as well. Good job, China. Good job, Trump. There's always a way forward. But maybe not in New York. In New York City, Governor Hochul, actually in the state, Governor Hochul, whatever her name is, declared a state of emergency and initiated new actions in response to Trump administration cutting off food assistance. Well, I have news for you. The Trump administration didn't cut off food assistance. The Democrats who haven't voted to fund it cut off food assistance. So thanks for the rebrand. Not quite realistic. But it says cutting off food assistance to nearly 3 million New Yorkers starting November 1st. State of emergency. So I said, well, this is the most dramatic narcissistic reversal I've ever seen. Definitely the highest drama in any of these narcissistic reversals. Like, whose fault is it? Oh, it's Trump's fault now? Like, the Democrats did this, but it's Trump's fault now? Like, okay. And then also, like, what kind of, this is an emergency for you? An emergency is happening because people don't have food stamps. Again, if you actually will die or be deeply harmed because you don't have government support, then you were always a slave to the government. This was never a good position for you to be in. I do hope that everyone has food, no matter who they are. And I also know that they will have food, no matter who they are. There's never been a situation in this country except maybe during like the Great Depression, Dust Bowl times, where there were genuinely people who could not access food. I know there's people who have a much harder time. I know there's people who have a lot less money for it. I also know that the vast majority of people who say they don't have enough money for food actually do, but they know that if they continue to game the system and get this food and get this sympathy, that they're going to be continued to be taken care of when they don't really need it. That's the vast majority of people on food stamps. It's absolutely true. Everyone likes to say like, oh, what about the elderly and what about the this and what about the that? Like, yeah. And that's actually why the food stamp program is cool, is because there are people who are genuinely in need and genuinely have a very hard time. And this support is fantastic. And actually, I don't know anyone who's against that. I mean, maybe the hardest core of like libertarian might be against that, but really nobody's against actually providing subsistence food to people who are genuinely in need. You can't tell me 40 million American people can't feed themselves. That's not true. And we all know it. We all know all the people who defraud it. We all know the people who game it. We all know the people who get way more than they should. We all know the people who then sell those benefits and get cash money for it and do drugs with the money. So you can't ignore that truth when you're pretending that every single person who won't receive food stamps on Monday or whenever this is, that they're all actually needy. Like you're lying to yourself. I mean, and you know better. So stop it. So hopefully, I think a lot more people are actually seeing through some of that and wanting a sort of balance to be returned to, because we've gotten so far in this direction of overfunding this. The money doubled under Biden. The number of people on it nearly doubled under Biden. Like there's no sense in that. So, coming back to sort of some sort of balance is what most people want. And I think, the few loud, dramatic freaks that are just like emoting about it constantly, like they're not actually anywhere close to the majority. So all of that is actually a win in my book. And but good for people who are putting together resources for whoever wants to come take it. Like that's nice too. Good for them. Derek Lopez, a 27-year-old teaching assistant from Illinois State University, fired for outburst at Turning Point USA event and arrested for threatening to kill Trump. I mean, fuck around and find out, right? It's sad. I get wanting politicians to die. A lot of them, a lot of the time, have been pretty worthy of those thoughts. And it's a kind of somewhat normal feeling to have, especially when you feel like you've been oppressed your whole life, or it's been so hard, or like this is also convoluted because of this crazy system, and all of these things. Then it's easy to get to those places. But then when you say it out loud to other people in a public setting, well, now that's like a totally different thing. And so it used to be pretty normal to understand that. And I don't know what happened to that understanding. Like, I don't know when people got to the point. I was just watching a video right before I started the show, and it was this kid, 17, I don't know, based on my years of teaching, that's where I'd peg this kid. And he's talking to a cop, and he was like, what's up, bro? Come at me. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you're not going to do shit. You're not going to do shit. You have a camera on. You can't even touch me. And the cop's like, okay, dude. Like, and the cop's laughing. He's like good humored, even though the kid's like such a shithead. And he's like, yeah, give me your ID. And the kid's like, well, or what? Like, come at me, bro. Like, just like pushing him. And finally, the cop's like, give me your ID, or you're, resisting arrest or whatever. And the kid's like, no, you're not going to do anything about it. And the cop just like body slams him and arrests him. And I'm like, yeah, like, what did you think was going to happen? And I know there's people who are going to be like, that's too violent. Dude, like, he's like, when someone comes and they're like, I'm going to kill Trump, or like, you can't touch me, what are you going to do about it? Like, you're going to get checked. It used to be common just sense that you just don't go like pushing the boundaries and pushing the buttons. It is actually a crime to threaten the president's life. You're going to get some sort of consequence. I'm glad this person was a teaching assistant at a university level, because at least then all these people are choosing to be there as adults. And so if they're, exposed to propaganda, like that's all them. It's these people who are giving it to the children that really bother me. But yep, that guy's going to face some consequences. Trump sets the refugee admission ceiling at 7,500 for the fiscal year of 2026, admitting mostly white South Africans. This is great. If you just watched my show last night, it's about the immigration question. That's the name of the show. If you listened to it or watched it, then you can understand why I'm quite for this. We had hundreds of thousands and millions of people being given these statuses under Biden administration. It was never meant to be more than a few thousand here and there. And so that got, again, just like the benefits and the food stamp, something, it got way overextended in the wrong direction. And we got to bring it back to some sort of happy medium. People, of course, are going to be mad that it's white people getting this. As we've talked about, though, white South Africans are actually refugee. They are actually fleeing murderous, torturous consequences if they stay. So they actually fit the definition of what this program was meant for, unlike many other people who are not and are just saying so. And one of the reasons they say so is climate. They're climate refugees, which isn't even a real thing. But it's definitely something we've made up in order to allow people to do whatever they want. So cool. I think that's good. I'll call it a win. Trump said that Biden is a criminal and should be in jail, a major lowlife and a failure, an ugly person, both inside and out. And he said, I beat him badly and I love watching him squirm now. Not going to lie, I would too. That guy's definitely a pedophile. People say Trump is. I've never seen any evidence of it. You can watch Biden molesting children on camera over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, I trust what I see, and I would believe it of Trump too. Somebody gives me some evidence, but no one has. European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance releases a report recommending Ireland legislate to criminalize hate speech, noting that the Jewish community received a government grant to become a trusted flagger of anti-Semitism and other forms of racism. The report urges the Irish government to honor its commitment to introduce self-declaration gender recognition for minors and to recruit more police with minority or immigrant background. It's just like the recipe for disaster. They're like, we want you to let Jewish people decide who hates Jews and be able to have actual consequences for them. We want you to hire specifically minority and immigrants for your police enforcement. People who just got here might not speak the language and definitely don't have a shared culture with you. We want you to hire them as your law enforcement people. And let kids tell you what sex or gender they are, even though they have no business even thinking about it or talking about it at all. All of those things are very harmful to our societies, to our cultures, and our recipes for disaster. This is a report from the European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance going out to Ireland. So I know Ireland and England are sort of bucking back against some of this stuff. Hopefully Scotland joins them, and hopefully the whole UK has this revolution back to, having their own culture and standards and expectations. That'd be great. That would be a win. Hopefully this report serves to highlight the absurdity and send people back the other way. Trump orders Department of War to start nuclear weapons tests to match China's and Russia's. People are really reading a lot into this too. I mean, it's definitely like hey, we also have those. Don't forget that we have those. Like if you're trying to show off or be tough, like we can also be tough. And maybe you think that's not great. I don't care personally if people are testing. I mean, they've been testing them way before I was born. They're going to keep testing them. So like that part doesn't bother me anymore. Also, I did the episode on the nuclear delusion. So I have a lot of questions about nuclear physics and nuclear warheads. And so you can go watch that episode or listen to it many years ago. But so that doesn't really bother me at all. And I also don't care if countries are sort of like beating their chest at each other. There's other escalations I find much more worrisome than this one, is my main point. Other escalations like what's going on with the chips, manufacturing of the computer chips and stuff, and NVIDIA and all of that sort of stuff with AI and those things. Those are much more worrisome to me than nuclear bombs. It's always been and always will be, ever since we got nuclear bombs, that like if nuclear war happens and that's a real thing that can happen, then like we're all toast anyway. So it's like there's no point in worrying about it. It's either going to happen or not. And I'm not saying that like if you could do something about it, I guess do something, but like most people can't. So like the best thing you can do is to reassure yourself that like, oh, well, anything can happen at any time. There's no need to like just sit and dwell in it. So like, that's it. I don't know. I don't know why else you'd be upset. I think people think that it's a step closer to nuclear war, but like, it's not at all. There's been a lot of things in the past handful of years where people have said like, oh, this is nuclear wars on the horizon. And I'm like, I've never seen it that way. I'm seeing the same thing you are. I just read it differently than you do. So I just see it as chest beating. I don't see it as imminent nuclear war. I think we're fine. And if it was, it wouldn't matter anyway, because we'd all be dead. So, oh, well. So there's that. That's the win there. It's just perspective, right? Oh, we already talked about Trump and Xi meeting. Oh, this is cool. So the sort of like Eastern European axis of peace is being formed with the Hungarian Viktor Orban, Czech Andrej Babiš, and Slovak Robert Fico. They have formed the axis of peace in Europe. Thank God. They're sort of like the people who have been sometimes some of them branded as like the far right, or like this is the part of Europe that like refuses to like go along with progress and get all the immigrants and have all the cutting apart of the children's genitalia and all of this other satanic stuff that's been going on. They're sort of like resisting that. And so they're also resisting this like push towards war, which is great. A lot of these other countries are like, we've got to back Ukraine and let's all send troops and let's like, we're going to down with Russia. And these three are like, why would we even get involved? Stop it. We can just have peace instead. So thank God for them. Send them all your love and support, your good prayers and messages, and that will be great. Apparently there's a collective of those sort of funded, Act Blue, like Democrat protests and activist clusters. Those people are seemingly planning to take over Washington, D.C. There's video and posts and like gathering, evidence that they're doing this, and they're literally planning to get as many like thousands or, I'm sure millions if they could, together to like surround the White House and surround the Supreme Court and not leave until their demands are met. I don't remember exactly what their demands are. I'm sure it's that Trump has to leave office. I'm sure it's that every person who wants to come to the United States gets to come no matter what the reason is. And we just have wide open borders, that all of them get healthcare and all of them get food and all of them get shelter. I'm sure it's things like that. Especially, I'm sure that it has to do with, kids being able to cut up their genitals and say that they're trans and other things like this. So mostly really destructive things and really antisocial things. And they're doing this without any irony. These are the exact same people who will tell you to this day that the worst thing that has happened since Pearl Harbor is January 6th. These are the same people who continue to lie and say that multiple police were murdered on January 6th when zero were murdered on or after or in any connection with January 6th. Zero. A bunch of them died under really mysterious circumstances, sure. But they died after January 6th, not during it and not because of it. And that's just facts. But they will still lie to you and tell you so many people died that day. One person died and the cops shot her. That was Ashley Babbitt, right? Is that the right name? And that's it. That's the only thing that happened. The whole day, all of the riots and the insurrection and nothing happened. But here you are planning way worse. You're planning an actual insurrection. It's cool with me. Go do your thing. Don't be such a hypocrite. Don't be such a hypocrite. Next time there's something like exactly like what you do when it serves you, shut up about it because it's allowed. You're allowed to protest. You're allowed to go if you want to sit down on the pavement and never move again until Trump leaves office or something, like, you're welcome to do it. And also at some point they might remove you because they need that space or whatever, but that's true too. But I'm not going to accuse you of having pulled off the most heinous crime in history or whatever stupid shit you got programmed with and won't stop splurting. It's so amazing. They're consistently hypocritical. It's the only thing they're consistent about is being inconsistent and hypocritical. That's it. It's just crazy. They have no idea. Oh, God. So the Pentagon has ordered the National Guard to establish quick reaction forces for civil unrest and riots. This, of course, again, is worrying many people. And if you think about it, though, it's just normal. It's actually what you would do. It's actually what I would expect. It's even what I would hope for. Because if all these people who just are about to lose their food stamps, if that's what happens, we still have some time left. But if that's what happens and they actually do go and do what they're threatening to do, which is ransack grocery stores, steal groceries from their neighbors, like go into parking lots and just take people's carts from them and cause mayhem, I would hope someone would do something about it. I don't want my groceries stolen by people. You probably don't either. If you have a store, you probably don't want it to be ransacked. You probably want to be protected and have some law and order. So that's what this is about. That's normal. I'll be okay with it if that's what happens. Don't bring the heat if you can't take the fire, or whatever they say, right? Get out of the kitchen or something. Like, stop, stop threatening to come assault and steal from your neighbors and your local businesses if you don't want this National Guard to be established in quick order to come smash down your rebellion. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's easy. It's easy to not commit heinous crimes. Trump has given South Korea approval to build a nuclear-powered submarine, and that they'll invest billions in the U.S. and purchase vast quantities of oil and gas. I don't know what we even have to do with deciding who can have nuclear stuff, but this is like an ongoing theme where we, for some reason, get to decide who gets nukes and who doesn't. And so I guess now South Korea gets to have a nuclear sub, and good for them. Good for them. We'll call it a win. The Feds cut the interest rate by 0.25. I should say the Fed, not the Feds. Not federal, not not federal and not public at all. Just a private bank has cut interest rates, so that's good again for us. Hopefully, more of us will be able to do things like buy houses or whatever we might need. Hopefully, that means things are kind of coming back down a little bit. That could be good for all of us. So we'll take that as a win, even though other people are saying it's a bad indication that the economy is going bad. But like, people say that every day, and they've said it every day of my whole life. So I don't get too concerned about that either. So I'll take the interest rate cut for sure. The U.S. government allowed and even helped U.S. firms sell advanced surveillance tech to China despite export bans. Yeah, well, we could guess who. Let's see. You won't be able to see this, but I will. U.S. government agencies spanning 5 Republican and Democrat administrations knowingly assisted American companies in selling surveillance tech to Chinese police. So are they going to list which ones? Trump was the only president who didn't. Oh, people won't like that, I'm sure. But that's how it is. So that's cool. Again, there's a lot of people who just want to hate him, but I see a lot of things to like. I like a president who says, actually, let's stop doing that for China, who hates us and wants to take us down. Maybe let's not do that. My God. Israel resumed its ceasefire. This is the stupidest headline I've ever read in my life. Israel resumed its ceasefire in Gaza after conducting over 14 hours of airstrikes. That's like saying, like, oh, I was on a diet and I've resumed my diet after 14 hours of eating donuts. You're like, so you weren't on a diet. Like, no, I was on a diet and I'm still on a diet. I just had 14 hours of eating donuts. Like, every sane person knows, like, you're not on the diet. Every sane person knows, like, you don't have a ceasefire. You can't have a ceasefire if you are shelling your enemy. Like, God damn it. So yeah, the ceasefire is not a ceasefire, but it is supposedly, that's what we're supposed to. Oh, okay, there's a ceasefire again. It was just 14 hours of murder. No worries. No worries. So not a win. Not a win at all. Maybe to have been expected, but not a win. General Motors is to cut 1,200 jobs at Detroit. Oh, GM is still alive. Answering our question from earlier in the show. 1,200 jobs at Detroit as EV plant, so the electrical vehicle plant, and 1,200 more at Tennessee and Ohio battery plants due to slowing U.S. electric vehicle demand. Yeah, dude. Good. Let's kill all the electric vehicles, and let's instead all have airships. But at the very least, let's have nuclear energy so that we can not worry about energy. That'd be great. So good. Yeah, I already said that. So good. I'm glad. I'll take that as a win. Even though people are losing their jobs, I hope they create cars of other types that these people can then have jobs at those places, right? That would be the biggest win of all. Even CNN now has been ripping apart the Democrats' refusal to sign on to the budget, to let go of their insane demands. to keep free healthcare for all of these illegal immigrants that were rebranded as asylums, refugee seekers, temporary status, and parolees, and to do the same with food as well, and to thereby save the U.S. taxpayers billions of dollars, but also to just get these people off the government teat because they don't belong there. And they refuse to do that. They want all of that. They want to keep that teat flowing. They want all of these people to stay here in the country. They want them to stay Democratic voters. And so, they've been holding out and thereby causing this food stamp shutdown that's about to call, and even CNN is calling them on it. So it's interesting to have watched, because for a lot of time, the propaganda that's out there, especially on social media with the algorithms and the bots, is that this is the Republicans' shutdown because they want to cut all of these services. And it's sad how many people have bought that, because if you look at it at all, you can see, again, the surge under Biden where things doubled, tripled, and all of these benefits that get paid out. No reason for that at all. So just to bring that back to normal, people are like, they're cutting the funding. Republicans always want to cut the funding. Yeah, normally I would say that's my perspective too, where I start from, until I look at reality and see what's happening and go, oh, that's not what's happening this time. And even CNN has finally been like, all right, guys, can we stop with the shutdown thing? Which is really interesting. So, they're losing their own base and they're losing their own media darlings, in this ridiculous fight. And I love to see it. I'll call that a win. NVIDIA, speaking of the chip warfare, has become the world's first $5 trillion company. Their market value is $5 trillion, above Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, which is Google, and Amazon. All of those are less. Amazon, in fact, is half that. Wild stuff. So NVIDIA taking over the AI data center race it's getting deep. It's getting deep. Oh, this is wild. The ADL, so the Anti-Defamation League, which is literally just Jewish people calling other people anti-Semites, and Gibson Dunn, whoever that is, launch a network of 39,000 attorneys offering free legal assistance to Jewish people facing anti-Semitism. All you need is a good attorney. You don't actually have to face anti-Semitism. You can just say that about someone you don't like, make up a thing, have a really good lawyer, and win. So you have this army of 39,000 lawyers that will walk you through it and get you your win, then you've won. That's all you need. So talk about, again, Jewish privilege. But good for them. I'm sure it'll make them feel safer. Putin says Russia successfully tests Poseidon nuclear-capable doomsday torpedo, capable of triggering radioactive tsunamis, rendering coastal cities uninhabitable. Wow. That would be wild. So supposedly that's a real thing that Putin says they've successfully tested and works. And that'd be a worrisome tool. Way more worrisome to me than a nuclear bomb being just dropped would be this. The destruction of a tsunami mixed with the radioactive fallout of a nuclear bomb. What else can we think of? Pretty dark. But good leverage if you're Russia. Be like, hey, stay out of our business or we'll tsunami nuke your coastal cities. Wild stuff. Tens of thousands of white-collar jobs are disappearing. The rise of AI as a key factor. Very true. That's all. That's just going to keep happening. Here we go. We'll continue to ride it out. I have another friend who just wrote, I think it was this morning, it was like, all right, I survived another round of cuts. I was like, good. Sad for all the people who are losing out and not surviving the cuts. It's never easy to lose your job. But there's going to be other things that are going to be happening. That's just how life is. We've gone through these types of revolutions of marketplace and job and economics over and over again throughout society. So it's not ever super easy or that fun for everybody, but it is always okay in the end. So it will be this time too. Monkeys for hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID animal testing were shot and killed after a truck carrying them overturned in Mississippi. The monkeys were said to be 40 pounds and aggressive to humans. We've heard this so many times. I'm surprised they haven't turned it into like a horror movie yet, or maybe they have and I just missed it. I'm sure they have actually, now that I'm saying that out loud. But I at least 5 times since I've started doing this show, we've had monkeys escape that were bioweapon or bio-tested or, carrying random diseases, aggressive to humans. And they're just, we don't really know where they are. They're escaped. At least these ones, they're like, we shot them all. I'm like, well, I feel sad for the monkeys. They never asked for this. It's horrible to test on animals. Actually, it's one of the things I hate most about what humans do. But I'd rather them shot than running around aggressive to people transmitting disease. So poor monkeys. Definitely would be a good plot if it hasn't been used before. A refugee and TikTok star Nadav returns to Syria after seeing the pride flag at her children's school in Denmark. Good. I'll take that as a win. Yeah, you should probably go back if you don't like that. That's the least of what our culture tends to do that you would find repulsive. If you're Muslim, for sure. Like, the West isn't going to be your favorite place. All kinds of degradations in the eyes of Islam, and that's just one of them. So interesting choice, but good for everyone, I'm sure. The U.S. feds tried grooming Nicolas Maduro's chief pilot, offering money in exchange for secretly rerouting Maduro's plane to kidnap him. This is Venezuela again, I'm guessing, and yeah, that'd be wild. That'd be great. I'm for it. Let's do it. I don't know why they put stories like this out, though. Like, is it to, make him afraid or something, or threaten him? Because if you already tried and it already failed, like, why even admit it? Why even like put it out there? Because now you're just saying like, oh, we suck, and you won. Why bother printing that? So I'm not sure what the attempt is here, what's going on other levels, but there's that. Netanyahu orders a forceful strike in the Gaza Strip, as we already read. That lasted for 14 hours, and now the ceasefire is back. Oh, this is cool. This is this report that is making the rounds, and it is pretty rad. This is about the vaccines and autism. Let me actually just share this with you so that you can see it too. Whoops, there we go. So this is someone posting this. You can find this all over the place. It's just been making the rounds just today, or maybe yesterday. But this is the most comprehensive analysis ever conducted on the causes of autism finds vaccination is the dominant risk factor. So you know how they look at these things, they can't say for sure that vaccines cause this or that. There's so many other things going on and but if you're looking at all the things that could be connected, vaccine is the number one. So when we say, and they've said it before, I mean, this isn't even actually a surprise or shock in scientific or, in the literature, in the legal literature, as I've done shows on before and covered all of that. They've admitted vaccines are unavoidably unsafe. They've admitted that the way they say it is vaccines don't cause autism, but they cause the situation that causes autism, which is like the most legalese way of trying to get out of it I've ever heard. So we've already gotten all of this, but now we have this study that's compiling all of the studies into one, so the meta study, and showing us what is what. So pretty groundbreaking, very cool. They had to work really hard to get it published. After decades of censorship and denial, in fact, the McCullough Foundation's landmark report of over 300 studies finally delivers the verdict. So 300 studies in this meta-study. Autism's rise is multifactorial, but vaccination is the most significant preventable driver. He said, we found potential determinants of new onset autism before ages 9 to include older parents, so 35 years or older mothers, premature delivery, so under 37 weeks, common genetic variants, siblings with autism, maternal immune activation, in utero drug exposure, environmental toxicants, gut-brain axis alterations, and combination routine childhood vaccination. Of 136 studies evaluating vaccines or their components, 107 found evidence consistent with vaccine autism link. 29 claimed no association, yet lacked truly unvaccinated controls. And 12 studies comparing fully vaccinated versus unvaccinated children found every time that the unvaccinated had far better overall health and dramatically lower autism risk. Biological mechanisms converged on shared pathways, immune dysregulation, mitochondrial dysfunction, and neuroinflammation triggered by clustered and early timed vaccination during critical windows of brain development. This is so obvious, and this is actually, unfortunately, what's going on with so many people now, far past childhood, induced by some of the more recent injections, but also by this continuously increasing toxicity of our modern environment. I'm not reading this down, I'm just sharing this from my own perception, because that last paragraph there is essentially describing almost everyone. Let's read it again. Immune dysregulation. I mean, the rise of immunocompromised people and people like myself with autoimmune disorders is insane at this point. Mitochondrial dysfunction, that's anybody who has any sort of metabolic issue at all, any kind of metabolic issue at all, any sort of energy issue at all, where you're way too tired most of the time, or you're way too up and, antsy all the time, or, anything where your thyroid or any of that's mitochondrial dysfunction. Neuroinflammation, the rise of, I just had one last night, migraines and the like. That's neuroinflammation. The rise of people having brain fog, that's neuroinflammation. The rise, I never heard brain fog my whole life. And then it was sometime around like 2016 or whatever, I started hearing it. That's when they started pushing vaccines even harder up, getting ready for COVID. They were like, everybody get your flu shot every year and all these other shots. And like, not everyone had really done that for some time, but there was these massive campaigns. And this is what led people like myself and other people who pay attention to things to say, like, oh, they're definitely getting ready for some kind of vaccine coming up, and I'm definitely not going to take it. Because if they're planning it this far ahead of time, it's going to be something pretty brutal. And then COVID hit, and lo and behold, they had a vaccine. And people were like, how did you know? And I'm like, because I've been paying attention. and then, so when that vaccine uptake was happening before COVID even, all of a sudden everyone's talking about brain fog. I'm like, I've never heard this many people say brain fog in my life. And then COVID hit, and now it's just common. Now you can't go anywhere without hearing someone saying like, oh, I have brain fog. This is neuroinflammation. Your brain is inflamed. And 5G and all these other things, they definitely affect that too. And that's also increased in that same window. So, no wonder we're hearing it all the time. But those things they're describing there, like, this is something we're doing to babies, to little kids. Makes sense in some way, at least. Unfortunately, if you get to your 40s or 50s and you start having all these issues because you've lived this life of toxicity, whether you liked it or not, but these kids never had a chance. So big breakthrough in this study is the McCullough Foundation. Their report, The Determinants of Autism Spectrum Disorder, has finally been published in peer review after decades of being suppressed. It's a meta study of 300 other studies, and it is very, very comprehensive and concise. So very cool. Maybe even going to dive into that a little bit deeper in another episode. But for now, we'll move forward with the show. Pretty cool, though. I'm glad. I hope some people who haven't been paying attention start paying attention now that we have that study in hand. Very neat. Trump has thanked Japan's first female prime minister for placing a very large amount of new military equipment orders with the US. So good relationships with Japan. That prime minister seems pretty cool. She's a very Trump-like prime minister, the first female prime minister of Japan. I'm sure that can make the leftists happy, even though she's not like them. Next Era Energy partners with Google to revive the Duane Arnold nuclear plant in Iowa to support Google's expanding cloud and AI services. Smart. Yeah, that's what you should do. If there's any other defunct nuclear plants, we should probably bring them online too and get into even cleaner and better forms of nuclear energy, because we're going to need it. Countries like Germany that have been destroying their own nuclear infrastructure will be sad someday that they did that. OpenAI says over 1 million people talk to ChatGPT about suicide weekly. That might sound like a negative thing on the surface, but it's actually, for me, I can find a lot of positives in this. One is that 1 million people is really small. Out of all the many, many hundreds of millions of people who are, or if not billions, who are talking to ChatGPT every week, for only 1 million to bring up suicide, like that's pretty good. That's very, very low. And the other thing that's cool about this is when you reach out in any way and you're thinking about suicide, that's a good sign. So even though you and I might be like, man, reach out to like a person, dude, like give yourself a chance, at the same time, you can say at least they reached out to ChatGPT. Like they may not be able to reach out to a human, and that may have meant their death otherwise. But now they have this thing that they feel safe with, that they can reach out to, and that's pretty cool. I wish it could be something other than a robot, artificial AI like that. That'd be even better. I get that for sure. But I can be glad, having been, suicidal myself in the past, that there's something that you're reaching out to. And I also, there are times when these things have seemingly encouraged people to kill themselves. We don't know how those AIs were programmed by their people, and so we don't know also that the spiritual condition of that person and their AI that may have allowed something darker to sort of come through it, as I've talked about before. In general, if you just went right now and you haven't spent a lot of time with your ChatGPT or other AI, or if you have, but it's been in like a generally positive way, and you say to it, hey, I'm thinking about suicide lately, it will give you a bunch of love and support and tell you not to do it. So like that's like the default. That's kind of the automatic. And so of course, I'm sure most, if not all of those 1 million people get that response. So pretty cool. So I'm going to take that actually as a win, even though it sounds initially like not good. That's my perspective. Paramount to cut 1,000 jobs Wednesday in the first round of layoffs. I'm not very concerned about that. I'm sorry for those people. I hope they find jobs they like. It seems like the least important piece of news tonight. Trump admin to give Mexico's Sheinbaum a few more weeks to meet demands to avoid the 30% tariffs. Yeah, that lady's crazy. And so far, there has been some progress, right? They've actually taken out some of the cartels, reduced their influence, reduced their power and their reach. And so they just got to keep going. Better for all of us. Amazon is going to cut as many as 30,000 corporate jobs beginning Tuesday. Yeah, it's getting to how many of these tonight have been about layoffs or firings? I think this is like the 6th headline tonight about it. So quite a lot. Quite a lot. Here's this weird thing. Trump's seeking this settlement from the Department of Justice for 30 million. Is that right? 230 million. Sorry, a lot more. To seek 230 million from the Justice Department, settlement for investigations he faced during the Biden administration, his first term in office. It's unparalleled in American history, according to the ABC News legal contributor. He's seeking damages related to the investigation he faced. Approval of the payout resulting from 2 administrative claims that were submitted by attorneys for Trump while he was out of office in 2023 and 2024 would likely first need sign-off from top officials in the department. When asked about it, he said the decision would go across his desk. He said, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And that decision would have to go across my desk, and it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? He said. It might be a conflict of interest. He said he had a lawsuit. It was already doing very well. And then he became president. And then he said, I'm kind of suing myself once he became president. So this predated his winning of the second election. And so since he was already kind of in it, it's like, well, it didn't just end because he became the president, but then now that he is the president, if he wins, he is actually paying himself. So it is pretty weird. And people hate it. Like they hate it. They're like, oh, he's just gonna take all of his money and just pay himself. But it's like, dude, just stop. Just stop for a second and just imagine. Just take yourself out. You just imagine no one's even going to hear your answer or your response, and you're just alone. You're floating in the universe somewhere, and all of a sudden you become the president of some place in the universe, and now you're the president. But before you became the president, there was this lawsuit. It was very important to you to get justice and to get what's right for you. It's what's right for everyone, actually, because it's what's just. And then you became president, and now you still have that case, but now also it's like under your purview, and you would pay yourself. Would you stop and let the lawsuit go? Or would you let it follow its own logical conclusion? If you're actually interested in justice, you would let it follow to its logical conclusion. If you're more interested in being perceived a certain way, then you would say, no, I'm done. See, look at me. Look how, I don't know, look how honorable I am. Is it honor? Is it more honorable? I don't think it is. If he hadn't won, nobody would be criticizing him for taking the money if the case went his way. If he hadn't become president, nobody would be like, oh, how dare he take the result of his successful lawsuit. Like nobody would, but because he won, now it's a problem for people. So I think it's hypocritical again. I think actually it's what most people would do. I think it's what people who are concerned with justice would do. And if he does choose to like not take the money or whatever, then that would be, again, something he'd be choosing to do purely for PR reasons, purely to be perceived a certain way, which I won't judge either. That's totally up to him. But like, if he chooses to receive the money, then good for him. Who cares, dude? 230 million? Is that what you're worried about? And he also just bought you a ballroom for more than that. So you could think of it another way, and that he just like received that money but donated it right back into the White House, to your building that you own as a citizen of this country. Like, get over yourself. So I don't know, man. People will just hate anything they can for any reason they can think of. Trump claims we know everything about the 2020 presidential election being rigged and stolen, and urges the Department of Justice to pursue it with gusto as the biggest scandal in American history. I don't think he's wrong, especially knowing what I now understand about Venezuela and voting machines and the cartels, which I think I talked about recently. And if not, I might be about to. But you'll be the judge of that as the listener of the show. Thailand and Cambodia sign to expand the peace deal that was brokered with the help of Trump over the summer. So even more peace we can attribute to Trump. Quite nice. I like all the peace. I didn't even know we had assisted suicide in Colorado until I read this story. This is a girl named Jane who sought anorexia treatment in Colorado and was instead offered suicide assistance, medical assistance in dying. So essentially Canada's maid is here in Colorado. I literally didn't know. I don't know how I didn't know. Maybe I blocked it out. But she came for anorexia treatment. Instead, she was offered. She's a young girl. A doctor hired to treat her told her he would make an exception for her to die under the state's assisted suicide law. She wrote a letter about being coerced into it and saying she didn't want to die but was being coerced into it. She was given a cocktail of deadly drugs, but her father saved her after securing guardianship order from a Colorado judge before she could take the pills. So they said, we'll let you die. And she's like, I don't really want to. And then they pressured her. Then they gave her the drugs to kill herself. And right in the nick of time, her father came in and saved her. She died later in 2024 from complications of anorexia. But why would you try to kill her before? Like, she has every chance of recovering before. Until her death, she has every chance of recovering. People with anorexia recover all the time. And it was a doctor here in Colorado Springs diagnosed her with terminal anorexia. Oh my God. It's a hardcore. Anorexia is so hardcore. But her father saved her just in time, and then she died. In 2023, she looks somewhat decent. Her face has some meat on it, but really, really sad. Assisted suicide is so dicey in that way. Maybe that doctor really believed they're doing the right thing too, and they're like, hey, you're going to die anyway. It's going to be slow and painful. Like, let's just do it. I can see that possibility, that potential. But oh man, like, why would you push a young person towards suicide when they might have every chance of surviving? So pretty sad. This is why I really have some issues with assisted suicide. I didn't used to, but the more I've learned from Canada's experiment and now seeing this here in Colorado, there's a lot to it. So, so here it is. So I didn't talk about Cuba and Venezuela yet. I'm going to tell you where to go to find this. So one place you can go is to my Twitter. I'm at Apotropaic Soul. If you search for Rogue Ways or Rogue Soul or Lindsay Sharman, I'm sure you'll find me. If you don't already follow me there, I'd love to have you. And I retweeted this recently. So I do tweet somewhat frequently. It might be a little bit down, but it is from Patrick Byrne, Byrne. Patrick Byrne on Twitter. That's his name on Twitter as well. That's his handle. So you can say at Patrick Byrne and also find this. And he does this amazing 6-part series, and I don't know him. He's like, you might remember me as the toaster guy. And I'm like, I don't remember you, and I don't know who you are. But he's some sort of crypto person. He's some sort of like toaster person. I don't know about that, but I guess he's a genius. He's worked in all of these different arenas all around the world, kind of higher up, kind of rubbing elbows with the highest people. And he does this 6-part series of how Cuba and Venezuela conquered the USA. I'm just going to show this to you for what it's worth as well. So let me just reshare a different screen again. And it's so worth your time. I very infrequently ever tell you to like definitely watch or read something. And this is something I would definitely suggest that you watch. They're like 5 or 6 minutes each, so it's no more than a half an hour of your time. If you're like me and you put things on double speed, it took me like 15 minutes. So pretty quick, but really good information that I never knew anything about. So he goes into this 6-post thread. Each post, he says, is about 7 minutes. It's a semester's class, but brisk and easy to follow. Retweet as if your family and nation's life relied on it. He's only got 799 retweets. This should be going viral, in my opinion, but you know why it's not. So chapter 1 of 6, he talks about the rise of Hugo Chavez. He talks then about Venezuela's Bolivarian revolution. He talks then about the mafia that became the government. He talks about the Venezuelan super weapon Smartmatic. And Smartmatic, he talks about, is this base software that ended up being the voting software for the whole world. The whole world uses Smartmatic. They use it under the brand name of Diebold and some of these others that might be more familiar for you as far as voting machines go. But Smartmatic is the software inside of those machines. So Smartmatic is owned by this cartel, by these mafia cartel people who had been involved in these revolutions in these third world countries. So then he talks about how Smartmatic subverted the whole world. And he shares exactly how all of the United States elections, European elections, all these elections have been swung in other directions that serve, guess who? China, our main enemy, as well as Venezuela and Cuba via, that's what China's, via those countries. So really fascinating, really interesting. And the thing I found the most interesting about all of that is that everybody even on the left and the right, even in the alternative sphere, even in the conspiracy sphere, everybody is pretty uniformly critical of us blowing up Venezuelan drug boats and having this sort of problem in these skirmishes with Venezuela. And I get it. I get, because I also, and I said to you all last week or the week before, however many times we've been talking about Venezuela, like, I don't know why we're suddenly like caring about Venezuela. And as I said to you at that time, I would need to know more about it. So when I found out about this, oops, I just shared it again. I finally understood, like, maybe there's actually a really good reason why we're targeting Venezuela. Seems like just a nothing sort of country, like, why would we care? Why is it this big of a deal? But now I'm like, well, wow, maybe, just maybe, I am the least Q and the least like Trump-tard person like you could possibly get. At the very least, I'm one of the most neutral people you could possibly get on this topic of whether Trump's good or bad or whatever. You've heard me talk about it for years, and I've been the same the whole time. Like, I don't know, maybe he's kind of good, maybe he's kind of bad. Like, so far, there's a lot that I like about him. That's all I can really say. But maybe he's actually trying to get us some sovereignty back so that we don't have our elections just open to China and Venezuela and these other countries that mean us harm. Perhaps he's trying to get back control of that system. And that would be a fantastic win for us. So highly worth your time to go check that out in more detail, to understand the possible background of this conflict in more detail, and to sort of get out of this fishbowl of just criticizing our confrontation with Venezuela, and perhaps getting to a point where maybe you even like the confrontation with Venezuela. I don't care where you end up on it. I like to be as informed as possible. So I knew that I had ignorance around the topic. And when I saw this, I jumped on the opportunity to educate myself. And now I have a lot more insight into what is potentially going on in that sphere. So pretty cool. Check it out if you want to. Again, that was from Patrick Byrne on Twitter. You can also find it on my Twitter page, and hopefully you help retweet it, help share it with people, get other people who are interested in reality to check it out, and that would be really cool. So the AfD chief, this is in Germany. This is the party that is considered far right, which is actually the party that just wants to preserve Germany for Germany and not just give it away to invading weaponized migrants. So AfD chief Alice Weidel calls on citizens to, quote, raise lots of German flags after the state security service is investigating the raising of flags in a small German town. I mean, if you can't raise your own nation's flag in your own nation, like, something is terribly wrong. And that's what's been going on in the UK. If you raise the Union Jack, they're going and ripping it down. They're calling it offensive and aggressive. They're calling it a crime. They're citing people and removing the flags. Like, the next step would be jailing people for displaying their own country's flag. I'm not even exaggerating. And in Germany now they're following suit. So she's saying, no, everybody put up flags. Put up as many flags as you can. Like, make it so impossible for them to stop us that we are successful. So good for her, good for them. I hope it works. Nothing wrong with putting up your own flag. Oh, remember how the Louvre was robbed, I think last week or the week before? The Louvre detectives now say the heist was an inside job and that they have digital forensic evidence that a member of security was in contact with the suspected perpetrators. So they're probably going to get Napoleon's whatever jewelry back. So good for them. What's this? Something. Oh, yeah, this is cool. I'm not able to show it to you, but there's a lot of people who in Chicago are really pissed off. A lot of Black people specifically who are really pissed off at all of this catering to immigrants and leaving them in the lurch. And they're really pissed off that they're being misrepresented by their representatives and by the media, and that the media and the representatives keep trying to say that African Americans are so upset that ICE is coming in, and they're so upset that the National Guard is coming in, and they're really, really mad that they're being oppressed in these ways. And so all these people of color, African Americans, Black people in that city are coming out, and they're like, oh no, we want you to get them out. No, we're not mad that ICE is here. No, we're not mad that the National Guard is here. Like, this is all cool. Stop lying about us. Stop using us as your pawns, you stupid assholes. Black people have consistently been used by Democrats for the entirety of this nation's history. That has never changed. Democrats are the party of racism. Trump and Secretary Rubio met Qatar's Emir and PM on Air Force One during a Doha refueling stop. Great. I don't know why I put some of these in here, man. Timothy Mellon was reportedly the anonymous donor who gave $130 million to fund troops during the government shutdown. I wonder if that's like of the Carnegie Mellon fund sort of thing. Matt Mellon, I'm guessing so. So that was good of him. Good job, Timothy. Germany has just blown up their second cooling tower, another nuclear site decommissioned. Just talking about it. Such a bad choice. They're like, we don't have enough fuel. Everybody's cold. We don't know how we're going to get through the winter. Let's destroy an energy center. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. It makes perfect sense if you're retarded. Trump claims there's conclusive evidence that Biden admin members spied on senators and congressmen and recorded their calls under Operation Arctic Frost. Arctic Frost has been in the talking I wouldn't say talking points. It's been everywhere on Twitter. I didn't actually look into it. I don't know much about it, but I believe that's really bad, right? Wasn't that Watergate-esque? Well, these things like no longer shock us. We're just like, yeah, of course they do that. I don't know. Autonomous drones will soon respond to emergency 999 calls in London as part of a trial by Scotland Yard. Why? Why would we want that? Why would we be like, help, there's a robber. They're going to rape me. Oh, good. A drone is here. Like, why would that be good? This is stupid. I feel like sometimes everybody's stupid. Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group ordered to deploy to the U.S. Southern Command Area of Responsibility. That's definitely in response to threats from Venezuela and Cuba. A UK judge sentences 5 men for an arson attack in London, allegedly ordered by Russian intelligence, targeting a warehouse with satellite communications for Ukraine. So 5 men attacked this place. It's a warehouse, but it has these satellite communications in it, and that's why it was attacked. And I don't know if you remember, but over the past 4 years or so of the one winning report, specifically for a while there, especially under Biden, it was pretty heavy how frequently we were getting these sabotage sort of like warehouses, especially food delivery places, but also medical, supplements and pills and stuff, and sometimes fuel and sometimes energy related, but a lot of different infrastructure related, warehouse related, logistical related places were getting bombed, burned down, planes crashed into them, like just weird amounts of attacks happening. And so this has that same smell to me. And then this time they actually say, yeah, it's because of the stuff that was hidden there. On the top of things, it's like it's a food processing plant, but then like also it's shipping out who knows what to who knows who for who knows what reasons, right? Surreptitiously. So pretty similar vibe there as far as I'm concerned. NASA group launches defense probe to protect Earth from a Manhattan-sized comet, which is the 31 Atlas comet, which people are very excited about. I know a lot of people would have expected me to have been also very excited about it. I haven't gotten any specific intuitions or urges or messages around it, no channelings around it. And so I just don't. It's cool. It's cool. But this NASA group launching this defense probe, I think is just more of the same, like hyping up of something that like probably doesn't matter. It might matter. The most interesting take I've actually heard on it is from Phil of Organic Hemp Society sent me this article where they were talking about how comets often also correspond to sort of the changing of an age or the shift in human consciousness. And not because the comet like comes into Earth and like some aliens come out and talk to everyone, but just because it just seems to correspond to that, which would make sense to me, understanding the universe as I do, as above, so below. We're all connected. All of these heavenly bodies are actually doing something. They're not just happening to be there. And so, that absolutely makes sense to me. But if we didn't know it was there, that would still happen. And that's sort of my main point. Like, it doesn't actually matter that we know it's there or if we study it. We definitely don't need a defense probe around it. Our consciousness just is shifting in this time, and we could have gone completely ignorant to this Atlas comet and still go through the shift. So it's cool. I'm not down on it. I just also don't really care about it. And yeah, we definitely are in the shift of an age and the changing of consciousness. Like, this is absolutely what's happening. It's what I've been talking about for years. That's what's happening, for sure. So, it's cool that the comet is also indicating such. We're all in copacetic space here. And so finally, we'll end here. China's company Noetics debuts a family-friendly $1,400 humanoid robot. Why? It's like, why? Who wants it? Well, we can spy on your kids and your family and everything now. It says the Boomi model, B-U-M-I, signals the entry of humanoid robots into the consumer market. Let's get this out of here. Let's get this in here. You can see it if you're watching the show and not just listening. So there he is. That's Boomy and his little Asian friend. Which is great if you want your child to be under constant surveillance, possibly by pedophiles. Then definitely great. Oh, I'm not allowed to read this article because I didn't pay. This is from the South China Morning Post. $1,400. At some point, that's already so cheap. Usually they have to like feed us this technology and get us to get it to be cheaper by buying it for so long. They're just coming right in with this $1,400 robot. That's wild. It probably won't work well. It'll probably have ridiculous amounts of bugs. It'll probably malfunction a lot. It may even malfunction in harmful ways. It's definitely spying for sure. That's just not even a question. It probably has backdoors that hackers and really nefarious ones could access, which is even more dangerous. All of those things are going to be true about it. But and so like, given all of that, like, what would it even do for you? Nothing. What would it do for you to have a robot around? Nothing. People are going to do it anyway, because there's people who would just do anything technological because they just want to be on the cutting edge and they think it's exciting. And that's like, ooh, look what I have. And, there's some ego caught up in it or whatever. Transhumanists are going to love it. But like, realistically, the average person probably doesn't even like to deal with like all the shit and all the people and all the things that are already around. So like, you want to add a robot to that? Go for it. I don't. I never will. I can't imagine. I mean, unless they're like amazing. Like they're like better than people, and then I might want one around. I can't imagine it, but I'm open to it. It could happen. And until it does, that will be the end of this show, and you can travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
Glued to them screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The pomposity, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger